most definitely it was because of my sexuality. That was the only reason, because other than that, there was no other reason. So I left the church and was out for years.
I grew up during the era of John Wayne, of Ozzie and Harriet, where the man's role was clearly defined. And I had no doubt at all that these feelings, this identity of mine was sinful.
I would consider myself a Christian, and then I tried Catholic school for 1 year. That didn't work. That was a flop.
When I left home and I came out here, a friend of mine told me about this gay and lesbian church that just opened, and said, "Oh, you gotta go."
You know, growing up, you know, that my father was a Christian minister, and I thought I was going to hell my whole life. I was so self-destructive before, because I had to suppress so much of my. I mean, when you have to suppress your sexuality, you might as well. It's almost like dying.
I've had a lot of people come up and tell me that, you know, you've changed since you got ordained. You know, more spiritually than anything else.
My spirituality, it's individual, it's not group. I lived in the Bronx, and I'd sit on the windowsill of the apartment building, and I'd look up at the sky and at the stars, and there was a song at the time called "Lost in the Stars," and I would think to myself, that's what I am. I'm a little star who's lost in the stars. And would I ever find my way? I went through feelings of wanting to be an atheist, and believe in God at the same time, which is a difficult thing to do. I was looking for a way and never could find it until I got old. At somewhere in my 60s, I began to be conscious of the fact that I am of God. I am of God. Not that I am God, but that I am of God.
My spirituality has a great deal to do with my wellness. It has a great deal to do with the way I treat other people. It always has. It always has. My father was a minister, so I was born into a Quaker family. I did not have a good relationship with my father, but I can remember him saying on more than one occasion, and a couple times from the pulpit, just to snap people into place, that there are so many good people on this earth who have never seen the inside of a church or a temple, that probably are going to be sitting closer to God than you and I.
As a young child, I believed in, I knew there was God. So I went out in the backyard behind the hen house, and I prayed and I asked God to show me a sign. And would you believe God did? All of a sudden, I heard the most beautiful music up in the air. It was late evening, and I heard the most just in the clouds, and I heard this beautiful music, and I just knew that was God. That was the sign He gave me that He was real. I had a relationship with a friend who became a minister, and he was just a platonic friend. And I would assist him in his work. Well, he went on the radio to preach, and he wants me to introduce him, and after about a few weeks we have a recording of it. I wasn't a believer. Back to the radio broadcast after one night, though, as I was listening to the tape, then he got to the part of his ministry. He said, I'm getting ready to pray for you. Whatever your situation is, if you got children on drugs, you have high blood pressure, or whatever your situation is, he said, touch the radio, I'm going to pray for you. So here, I was getting ready to walk out of the room. I heard the part that I need to hear. I was ready to go to the refrigerator. I was here to get a beer. And all of a sudden, I was on the floor, reaching up to try to touch the radio. I could hardly reach it. And that's when the power of the Holy Spirit became upon me. And I became a believer.
I got my first Bible when I was 7 years old and started reading it. When I was going to a regular Bible class, everything is always taught in the male version, like God is a he. And it gets to me after a while. It's like I feel kind of left out, you know. Okay, I'm a Native American. I accept all religions and faiths that come into this country out of respect. And I enjoy hearing about it and reading about it.
Point. Now, spirituality to me is being able to live in the real world. You know, before that was airy-fairy thing, and I just can't wait till I go to heaven. And now I'm more and more trying to. It helps me with reality and dealing with everyday life, like getting older. I don't think I could have ever handled getting older, especially with the kind of fears I had until I started in the practice that I'm in now.
I was born into the Mormon religion, but they are so structured and so tight that when I came to California, I found something else. When I was in the Mormon church, I went out with girls and stuff because, and Mother would say, "Oh my God, it's my fault, it's my fault." You're born that way, for crying out loud. What's the matter with people? My mother and sister, I'm sure they knew, but nobody ever said anything. I mean, I'm still me.
When I transitioned, I had a friend I grew up with. We used to run. When we went off to college, we kind of lost track of one another. Anyway, he became a pastor, and he was the person I went to when I outed myself. He's the one I went to because I needed his advice and his sense of right and wrong, and I started going to his church as Beverly because I'd left my home and my family, and I was living a new life. And then I still don't know what happened, but I got an email from him one day that said he'd been praying about it and he didn't want to be associated with me anymore. And he and the leader of the church suggested that I go find people who are like me. Go to church where they're more like you. Well,
My experience with traditional religion was guilt. I never thought of it as being sustaining or fulfilling. Nothing good about it. That's why I would never enter a church again until I went to Italy. Then I went to every church I could see because of the fact that how great art was in its original setting.
I think that my age group, all of us felt that our churches were not welcoming, only because our parents made us feel that way, and society in general made us feel not welcome. So why would we want to go and sit in a congregation full of heterosexual people who were pointing their fingers at us?
I didn't choose to be gay per se, so I felt that so I just stayed away from the church because they were homophobic.
I separated from religion. I'm Jewish. My father went totally bananas. That they were easy accepting the fact that I'm gay than they were accepting, why aren't you staying home on Yom Kippur? You don't go to the movies on Yom Kippur. We don't care about your sexuality, but on Yom Kippur you stay home. Yeah.
So what is that like compared to being in a church where you couldn't express your sexuality?
Oh, it's night and day, you know. Oh yeah, and in a way I'm comfortable with that now, even though with my immediate family, we talk about politics and sports and how the current news, the LGBT. In things that are about same-sex marriages and those type of things, we don't discuss those things.
I went to first service, and not knowing anybody, I went in and sat down early. Their musical group was rehearsing, and they were called Joyful Noise, made up of 3 people. Starting with the rehearsal, I started weeping, and I wept all through the service. I don't know why, but I had found home.
So I went one Sunday, and I said, oh my God, I found home. It was Metropolitan Community Church, and I've been there 43 years. I'm next to the founder, which is Reverend Troy D. Perry. We're the only 2 left from the original church.
On January 11th, I had a freak accident in my bathroom. Coming out of the bathroom, I fell and my foot went across the small hallway and hit the corner of the opposing wall, and it put about a 5-inch gash in my left foot, and it also broke a number of bones right behind your toes. Now I was in the Veterans Hospital now for 2.5 months. It was Denise, and the next person you're going to talk to, and a few others that took over managing my business here, coming in and taking care of my 4 cats, and moving all the furniture out of the house so the carpet could be removed, new carpet could be put in, and moving all the furniture back. But can you imagine? You know, this wasn't just a little bit of work, this was a day-to-day commitment for 2.5 months. Yeah. And now they bring me food, and they come and visit me. And now that I'm a little more mobile, we go out to dinner and to the movies, and
one thing that the church did for me that most people may not understand, I used to be a drunk. I used to drink every day in the week. Well, I stopped totally, and to this day, I have not drank in probably 35 years, and don't feel the need for it.
The first girl, the one that I just found that I was gay with, on the day that I buried my mother, that girl walked out on me. And left me in total devastation. A year later, I met Sylvia. When Sylvia died, I went into a bereavement group. One of the things I truly believe that has aided my healing has been my belief that Sylvia never left me. When she first got sick, I wondered, how am I going to do what it is I have to do for her? How am I going to speak up? Somewhere along the line, I learned to speak up. They'd say to me, well, who do you think you are? And at the time, I said, I'm her life's partner of 43 years. Now what do you have to say? Rabbi Lisa, I don't remember, Edwards, Lisa Edwards. And she came to the hospital when Sylvia was in the ICU and married us there. Well, they took the tallis one side of the bed to the other side of the bed as a chuppah, right? And she went through the whole thing in Hebrew. And Sylvia, who knew Hebrew when she was a child, was mouthing the words. I mean, and I'm saying to myself, because when I did this, they had told me she wasn't going to last but maybe a week more. And she lived another year and a half. I didn't know what kind of a gift to give her. And I said to myself, you know, I've got this I got to do. And when she was willing to do this, amazed me. Now, only God could have made that happen. I mean, that was a miracle. That happened.
I've had a couple of occasions that were near death. I can remember lying in bed and my priest being there and talking. And it was the first time that I expressed a fear of dying. And you know, we talked. He just let me talk. He just let me talk, and I needed to talk. And then, you know, he took my hands and we prayed, and it was all okay. It was all okay. And it still is all okay. If I go upstairs and I lie down this afternoon and I die, that's fine. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not anxious to go, but I'm not afraid of going. I really am not.
My pastor, who is the nurse down there, so she did an intake on me about what's going on. One question she popped up is, are you having safe sex? And I'm not thinking of her as a nurse, but as the pastor.
I was really active politically and within our social justice programs, both within the church and outside the church. And I think it was the third year I was asked to be on the board of directors of the Southern California Nevada Conference. And I also became moderator of the conference level coalition for LGBT concerns. And since then I've held positions within that congregation, within the conference, Southern California, Nevada, and within the big church as well.
It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. So I became more and more involved. Here we had 2 choirs. I was in both of them because I'm a singer also. And I found this church just fabulous. And everybody liked me, which is a plus in anybody's eyes. I trained and became a deacon. I was the lead deacon. I had 16 young men and women that I trained to be deacons in the church. We had to have more because the church was packed every Sunday. And as I look at it, I think about, wow, God gave you a lot to do and you did a lot of things. Will it be remembered? Will they know it was you? And then I say, that's not important. The important thing is that it got done.
I had an uncle who was gay. I had two uncles who were gay, but this one particular uncle was the youngest boy and was sort of the bad apple, this kind of thing. He was murdered in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I said to my dad, I said, what did they say happened? And he said, well, they said, you really wouldn't want to know. If that were to happen to somebody's son now, nobody, what do you mean? I don't want to, I do want to know. I do want to know what happened to that kid. That's important.
There's a few transgenders that go to the church, you know, and I don't dress all the time, you know, but because my partner won't let me, but I go to a transgender meeting every week, every Friday, you know, and I get along with them, and they love the stories that I have because I am 71 years old. The kids love my feedback of how it was in the 50s and 60s.
I was never one to speak out. Most people here, when they hear me say that, think that I'm crazy, because the me that they know is this me. Because my prayer was, when Sylvia died, please, dear God, please help me find a way to make a difference. Give me a reason to get up in the morning, because my loneliness was unbearable. All of a sudden one day I got a phone call from these people who said, we were wondering if we could speak to you. We're doing this thing called Rock for Equality, and it's for equality and social security rights for gay people, for couples. Next thing you knew, I was talking at a rally with Barbara Boxer. Then I was standing in the street in front of the Social Security building with a microphone, cheering people on. This was the girl who sat in the corner. Only Sylvia could have made that happen. Only Sylvia whispering in God's ear, saying, Alice needs to learn how to do these things. I'm not there to do them anymore.
It's helped me so much because for so long I hid my sexual identity because I thought I was going against spiritual things. You know, I don't have to change or cover up what I'm thinking or cover up what I'm saying, and have more confidence in myself as a gay person. You know, just as a human being, that I have rights, that I have just as much rights to live on this planet, or to work or anywhere or have a relationship as anyone else. I never thought that or felt that before, and that's all because of my Buddhist practice.
So, religion, of course, is an invention of man. Spirituality is, to me, is based upon the complete undocumentable world out there. You know, I can't say I'm spiritual because I read this or somebody told me. You got to find that on your own.
I really didn't stop and think about spirituality, but I believe I lived it in many ways because I was an advocate for causes. We always cared about people. In Yiddish, there's a word called mitzvah, where you give, you know, to give someone what they need. You know, I don't know how else to say it. It could be anything. It can be clothing, can be money, can be whatever. It can be time. It can be time. Whatever you give of yourself is a mitzvah. And we did that. There's a prayer that I say every morning. I I lift my eyes to the mountain, from where will my help come? My help will come from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. The Lord will not let my foot falter. He doesn't slumber and he doesn't sleep. And he does not let the sun hurt me by day, nor the moon by night. He is the protective shade at my right hand. He knows everything I need before I do, and provides everything I need every day. He watches over all my comings and goings. I say that every day, every morning, without fail. I believe that God knows what I need. But of course, I also believe that God has a little red-headed angel next to him telling
Over and over these days, we hear the word tolerant. We have to be tolerant. Tolerance is our goal. But I don't see that at all. Tolerant means you're willing to put up with somebody. I'll tolerate you. I don't identify with you. I don't like you very well, maybe, but I'll tolerate you. You have your life to live. Okay. But affirming, to affirm, is an entirely different concept. And affirming is you want to be the other person. You don't want to just approve or disapprove. You want to have, if not every moment of your life, you want, when you're with that person, you are one. And so, affirmation is maybe the most important word in our language.
God is love and love is for everyone. That sums it up.